Hey production team, CC Productions here. Now, I apologise for not reading any more of this for over 8 months, and I really do apologise. It was, of course, me moving house, several other videos, overall, school, burnout, and several other things that have delayed this. But now, I've decided to continue. And, of course, I've brought Captain Underpants along for this, so I'm just going to sit down here. If you have your own copies of this book at home, then I recommend getting it out so that you can read along. We can get started. Chapter 12, Out of the Window. George and Harold dashed to the window and looked out. There, running across the car park, was a budgety old guy in his underwear with a red cape flowing behind him. "Mr. Crop, come back!" shouted Harold. "He won't answer to that," said George. "He thinks he's Captain Underpants now." "Oh no," said Harold. "He's probably running off to fight crime," said George. "Oh no," said Harold. "And we gotta stop him," said George. "Oh no," cried Harold. "No way." "Look," said George. "He could get killed out there." Harold was unmoved. "Or worse," said George. "We could get into big trouble." "You're right," said Harold. "We gotta go after him." The two boys opened the bottom cabinet drawer and took out their slingshots and skateboards. "Do you think we should bring anything else?" asked Harold. Yeah, said George. "Let's bring the fake donkey doo-doo." "Good thinking," said Harold. "You just never know when fake donkey doo-doo is going to come in handy." Harold stuffed Mr. Crop's clothes, shoes, and toupee into his backpack. Then together the two boys leaped out of the window, slid down the flagpole, and took off on the skateboard after the amazing Captain Underpants. Chapter 13, Bank Robbers. George and Harold rode their skateboards all over town looking for Captain Underpants. "I can't find him anywhere," said Harold. You'd think a guy like him would be easy to spot," said George. Then the boys turned the corner, and there he was, Captain Underpants, standing in front of a bank, looking quite heroic. "Mr. Crop," cried Harold. "Shh," said George. "Don't call him that. Call him Captain Underpants." "All right," said Harold. "And don't forget to snap your fingers," said George. "Right," said Harold. Before he got a chance, the bank doors flew wide open, and out stepped two robbers. The robbers took one look at Captain Underpants and stopped dead in their tracks. "Surrender," said Captain Underpants, "or I'll have to resort to wedgie power." "Oh no," whispered Harold and George. Nobody moved for about 10 seconds. Finally, the robbers looked at each other and burst out laughing. They dropped their loot and fell to the pavement, screaming in hysterics. Almost immediately, the cops arrived and arrested the crooks. "Let that be a lesson to you," cried Captain Underpants. "Never underestimate the power of underwear." The police chief, looking quite angry, marched over to Captain Underpants. "And just who the heck are you supposed to be?" the police chief demanded. "Why, I'm Captain Underpants, the world's greatest superhero," said Captain Underpants. "I fight for truth, justice, and all that is pre-shrunken cottony." "Oh yeah?" shouted the police chief. "Cuff him, boys." One of the cops took out the handcuffs and grabbed Captain Underpants by the arm. "Uh-oh," cried George. "We gotta roll." Together, the two boys zoomed into the crowd, weaving in and out of cops and bystanders. Harold skated up to Captain Underpants and knocked the superhero off his feet. George caught him, and the boys skated away from Captain Underpants. Away with Captain Underpants on their shoulders. "Stop!" cried the cops, but it was too late. George, Harold, and Captain Underpants were gone. And I'm just going to pause it right there because there's some noise. I sincerely apologise about that. Let me just put him down here. And now we can continue. I'm only going to read like 1 or 2 more chapters because my voice can get tired. Anyways, Chapter 14, The Big Bang. After their quick escape, George and Harold and Captain Underpants stopped on a deserted street corner to catch their breaths. "Okay," said George. "Let's dehypnotize them quick before something else happens." A huge explosion came from the rare crystal shop across the street. Heavy smoke poured out of the building. Suddenly, two robots with a stolen crystal emerged from the smoke and jumped into an old van. "Did I just see two robots get into a van?" asked Harold. "You know," said George, "up until now, this story was almost unbelievable." "Well, believable or not," said Harold, "we're not getting involved, I repeat. We are not getting involved." Just then, Captain Underpants leaped from the street corner and dashed in front of the van. "Stop in the name of underwear," he cried. "Uh-oh," said George. "I think we're involved." The two robots started up the van and swerved around Captain Underpants. Unfortunately, the van brushed up against his red cape and it got caught. With a mighty jerk, Captain Underpants flipped backwards and the van pulled him along as it drove away. "Grab him!" cried George. The two boys with all their might towards the speeding van, and grabbed Captain Underpants by the ankles. "Help!" they cried as the van pulled them across the street. "Mummy," said a little boy sitting on the bench, "I just saw two robots driving a van with a guy in his underwear hanging off the back by a red cape, pulling two boys on a skateboard behind him with a swing." "How do you expect me to believe such a ridiculous story?" asked his mother. Finally, the van came to a screeching halt in front of an abandoned warehouse. The sudden stop made Captain Underpants flip over the roof of the van and crash through the front door of the building. Well," said a strange voice from inside the warehouse. It looks as if we have a visitor." I'm going to stop it right there because my voice hurts and I've started stuttering because after a while of talking, it kind of causes me to stutter. I hope you all liked watching this, and I'll see you for part 4, which is likely to be either the ending, probably. So I will see you soon. Bye.